Okay, why isn't that up here? Oh, there we go. Alright, YouTube folks, feel free to skip ahead about a minute. I'm going to let some people get in here before I go ahead and do a deck tech. I also need to get all of these things on screen. Okay. Good morning, folks. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. Currently, I'm streaming from Randolph-Macon College instead of Roanoke. I'm spending the next 2 weeks or so teaching Virginia's Governor's Latin Academy here at Randolph-Macon College, which is super fun for me, but my streaming schedule's gotten kind of wonky because of it. So I'm looking to play kind of some quicker decks to make sure that I can go to lunch on time and still get in everything else that I need to do. So this morning I'm going to go ahead and just play BR Reanimator. I grabbed one of E.W. Landon's list. You know, he's the trophy leader, really tends to know what he's doing with the archetype. So I figured that was probably my best possible starting place. So generically, the goal of this deck is to use Entomb, Faithless Looting, or one of the discard spells on yourself to put a fatty in the graveyard. You reanimate said fatty very quickly, and then you try to win the game. Grizzlebrand is sort of the plan A for this deck because drawing 7 to 14 cards is generally pretty darn good and unbeatable. But sometimes you're not that lucky and you have to go with one of the other reanimation targets. But this is the game plan if you can do it. Chancellor can often price people out of the game, Alash Norn can beat down creature decks, and Tidespout Tyrant is really there as a catch-all. If your opponent does something that you need to answer, Tidespout Tyrant will mess with it most of the time. So it can be everything from opposing threats that are putting pressure on you to soft lock pieces like, say, Trinisphere or Ensnaring Bridge out of the red prison deck. In the main deck, the best card is Entomb. It's not close. This is essentially tutor for a card in your deck for 1 mana at instant speed, and that's pretty nutty. So your hands with Entomb tend to be your best hands. Entomb and Faithless Looting are really your engine cards. These are what enable the other half of the combo. So just kind of like breaking this down. We have 12 reanimation spells, right? Then we have some degree of bonus mana. And then we have technically 16 cards that can put a fatty in the graveyard. That's not really the intended purpose of Unmask and Cabal Therapy, but it is something that can be used for. It can be a lot of card disadvantage to do so. You know, Unmask targeting me pitches a black card, and then you still need to have a reanimation spell beyond that. But Unmask is free, and Cabal Therapy is 1 mana, so it kind of works out. In terms of mana efficiency, this deck is hyper efficient. Like, Unmask and Lotus Petal are free, and then a huge proportion of your deck is just at the 1 CMC. You only have a few 2-drops, and they're all like super business spells. Yep, trying to channel the E.W. Landon and win a trophy real quick. Okay, so as far as the sideboard goes, the most important thing is the 4 copies of Wear Tear, because this is what lets you fight against most of the hate, whether it's Rip, Leyline, Grafdigger's Cage. This is kind of one of those cards that often generically comes in for post-sideboard games. So that makes sense. Archetype of Endurance gives all your other guys hexproof, and it has hexproof itself due to its ability, how that's worded. It's creatures you control have hexproof, not other creatures you control. So this is good against, like, say, your Swords to Plowshares deck to prevent all your guys from leaving the table, or against your Caracas decks. Iona is a lock piece against a good proportion of the format. Like, if you're a monocolored deck, or a deck that relies on just one color for removal, or to combo off or do your primary game plan, this is a house. Then there's a lot of utility. You know, Pithing Needle can come in and hit something important, like, you know, a Thespian stage that's going to make your opponent combo off. But really, you're playing this to stop things like Caracas that are just, like, a real thorn in your side. Otherwise, you have 3 graveyard hates. Fairy is something we're used to. Coffin Purge, maybe not. So Coffin Purge is in the deck because it has flashback. So with Entomb, if you have 2 mana up, you can, you know, instant speed Entomb, get a Coffin Purge, use the Coffin Purge at instant speed to get your opponent's, like, their reanimation target out of the graveyard. So even though this is sort of a narrow card, and it's not as explicitly strong as other graveyard hate options, it is tutorable, and that's a big deal. So it's really like we're playing 6 graveyard hate cards instead of 3. Or sorry, 7 graveyard hate cards instead of 3. Now the remaining 3 cards probably look a little weird, but it works. So Reanimator does not rely very much on its lands. Once you have 1 swamp, you are good. So Magus of the Moon is a real option to attack from a strange angle. So you can go, like, Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal off a swamp, and then Magus of the Moon on turn 1. And I've played enough Red Prison to tell you that that just wins games. Or it cripples your opponent enough that they are going to have a hard time beating you, even if you have a slow hand. So Magus of the Moons can give you a free win in a different direction from all of the other graveyard hate-based stuff. And then Grim Lavamancer can really alleviate the pressure of, you know, say a Delver deck or a deck like Death and Taxes, and you make them deal with this and blow removal or counter magic on this, and then your big fatties end up resolving. Morning, Vane. Alright, so that's all I've got. Let's go into a league. Let's see how this goes. So again, I'm playing this morning because I need to play decks that I can play relatively quickly due to my time constraints at Latin Academy. Everything's going very well here, though. Oh, that was quick. Okay, so this hand does not have any fatty or way to get a fatty, so it just absolutely has to be a mulligan. This hand is pretty bad. I can't put a fatty into the graveyard. I can't just, like, keep this and discard naturally easily. Like, I'd have to, like, double time walk myself to do that. So unfortunately, this one's a mulligan too. Well, this is not good. Ugh. Excuse me. My opponent asked me if there was an unlucky Thalia emote. Do you happen to know what the argument for reverent silence over wear tear is? So, reverent silence is better against many of the cards that bother you. So, for example, it's better against Leyline and Rest in Peace, but it's significantly worse against Red Prison because it can't go and hit important lock pieces. Like, it can't hit, like, Chalice and Trinosphere, so it has less flexibility. Like, Reverent Silence essentially allows you to go off on turn 1. I'm not even going to play a land here. I'm just going to pass the turn. I think I'm a real dog to win this, and my opponent thinks I'm on a Stoneforge Mystic deck right now. So I'm going to let that illusion stay. Ooh, neat. Alright. So I have a choice. I can either just, like, concede right here and not let my opponent know what deck I'm on, or I can play the swamp in hopes of, like, drawing a Faithless Looting into a Grizzlebrand or something like that. Next turn, I think I gain more percentage points if I just concede. Yeah. So my opponent's playing, like, the Steel Stompy deck. So, like, this card will just be generically good against everything that they're doing. There's some consideration to Pithing Needle or Grim Lavamancer. It's possible that mana base has Karakas thrown into it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. But my opponent's a Chalice deck, so I probably actually don't want to board either of those, now that I'm thinking about it. My opponent will either have Leyline or Fairy. Probably Leyline, but they probably won't bring those in for this game. So I'm going to trim a little bit. So, like, I'll trim a Therapy. I'll trim an Unmask. What's my worst reanimation spell? Probably Reanimate. I'll trim a Reanimate. I can never trim Entomb or Faithless Looting. Those cards are too good. And I can trim a fatty. Chancellor probably isn't the greatest. Let's run that. Okay, this is really, really close. So I think I can keep this. If I draw a black card on turn 2, I just go unmask, target me, pitch black card, Dark Ritual, Animate Dead. Or if I get a second land, that also works. So I'll keep this one. So Trippy Bunny, if I was... My opponent just says, uh-oh, in the chat. So, sorry, Trippy Bunny, if I was on the draw, I 100% would have taken that line, but I think on the play, since, like, both a land or any black card, will get me there, I think that's enough draws where I don't need to, like, take that chance. Yeah, okay. Alright, so I can unmask, target me, pitch Dark Ritual, and I think I'll play Tide Spout. Alright, do I want to change anything with being on the draw now that my opponent knows what's happening? Probably not. Actually, maybe on the draw, I pitch one therapy and bring the unmasked back, just to try to take back some degree of speed. I can see that as reasonable. How did an as foretold list 5-0? What is this? That is pretty special. So, for anyone who didn't click on the link, it's Dak Faden, Chandra, Jace, Ancestral Visions, Restore Balance, As Foretold, Blood Moon, Chalice, and Bridge. That's neat. Let me look at that, man. Okay, so I'm normally here-ish. I'm sitting somewhere different than I did last time. It's a little better. So I don't have any mana here. I could go like hard discard Tidespout Tyrant, hope to draw a land, but I think I can mulligan and do better. So Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, can't do anything. This is also very bad. I think since I have the Wear Tear, I keep at this point. Fuck. Alright. Well, this is only a disaster. Why is Spellskite there? Oh god. Never mind. Spellskite is gonna protect those ley lines. Yes, that, Okay, so this isn't all that bad. I guess. Don't care about any of these too much. I guess Hangerback Walker is the most dangerous thing given the resources that they have right now. But Walking Ballista kind of does double damage in a weird sort of way on one turn. And Hangerback Walker's really slow and they don't have a way to sacrifice it. So I guess I'll take the Ballista. I'm not just going to take the Vault Scourge and reanimate that before someone suggests that. If I take the Vault Scourge, they just play a Walking Ballista on one, and then, like, bad news bears. Do I just, I guess. Oh, well, Lodestone Golem would be unbeatable. Let's get rid of that. Oh yeah, basically, that's true. This is not a strict disenchant, where that would be the case. Alright. So with a fetch land, I can go get rid of Leyline, get rid of Leyline. Oh, this was a mistake. No, that's fine. Alright, which one of these is enchantment half? Terra is. I'm not 100% convinced that we're dead. Just like 99.7% chance that we're dead. How much should I take here? 1, 2, 3, 4. The next turn I'll take 5, 6. So if my next draw was Scrubland, I could get rid of this. And then I could have a nutty looting and probably still die, right? Because, like, I can't really reanimate anything anymore. Womp womp. Alright. That one doesn't count. We just mulliganed into oblivion there. Hands were pretty rough. But, like, one of the nice things about playing Red-Black Reanimator is you do get, like, a handful of just, like, absolute, like, nutter butter unbeatable hands where sometimes you just, like, open on Dark Writ, Entomb, Exhume with Unmasked backup or something like that. Who needs lands? We blew up a ley line, right? That's basically winning with this deck. So while we're waiting here, good morning everyone. My name's Phil Galler. I run Thraben University. I'm currently streaming from Randolph-Macon College rather than Roanoke. Today we're playing Red-Black Reanimator because I kind of have a small time slot. I've got about 2-ish more hours to stream, kind of depending on where the leagues fall. I don't teach on Sunday mornings. It's my one morning off. So I wanted to play some Magic. This is one of E.W. Landon's builds with the Grim Lavamancers and the Magus of the Moons in the sideboard. I played a couple of games with this last week, and it felt okay. I think a lot of decisions as far as play goes with this deck are actually made before your first turn. I think the mulligan decisions with this deck can be pretty tricky because there's a lot of times where you have to accept you are missing a piece and decide whether or not that hand is keepable at that. And I think that's a tricky evaluation skill compared to a lot of mulligans with other decks. Because with your blue combo-based decks, like, say, Show and Tell, you know, you have a fatty but not a Show and Tell or a Sneak Attack. Well, you know, you have 12 cantrips stapling the deck together. Whereas this does not have that. So some of the, like, math for mulligan decisions can be a little different. Let's look on the bright side. We did not play against elves. I mean, actually we want to play against elves with this deck because we're really, really good against them. Okay, so what do? I go Dark Writ, Cabal Therapy, target me, name Grizzlebrand, animate dead Grizzlebrand. And I have a Chancellor, so it's just happening, and I'm on the play. Hey Ken. Cabal Therapy. We're gonna target me. We'll name one Grizzlebrand. Yeah, Alesh Norn is devastatingly good against elves, but more generally, other than Deathrite Shaman, they don't really have good ways to go and just fight against like an early fatty, right? So if a Grizzlebrand, like if just a Grizzlebrand gets put in play and like the Reanimator player goes and draws 7, then that's rough. Like they get a couple discard spells out of that, they strip like the Natural Orders and the Green Suns and the Glimpses from your hand, and then you have a couple of Elves versus a 7/7 flying lifelinker, and that's tricky. And in the post-Sideboard games, Iona is devastatingly good. Okay, so what kind of data do I have on my opponent? In the past, they played D&T, Grixis Delver, and Esper Stoneblade, with Esper Stoneblade being a deck they played in April. If they're generically a Delver player, then boarding in the Wear-Tears is bad. If they're a D&T player, boarding in Wear-Tear is great. If they're a Stoneblade player, they'd probably play, like, well, it depends on what kind of Stoneblade. If it's like blue-white Stoneblade, they might play Surgicals with Snapcasters, I guess. Or maybe there's some chance of Rip there. I think Cabal Therapy is going to be kind of bad since I don't know what deck my opponent is. So maybe I'll just like do the hedge and bring in a couple of these. How does 3 sound? 3 sounds good to me. So Cedric, based on my understanding, is you do that if you're pretty sure your opponent will have something that will interact with you on that angle. Okay, so I don't have a way to get a fatty into the graveyard, and I don't have a fatty. It's a bad combo, so I'm going to mull this one. This doesn't explicitly do anything, but it's very close. Ooh, buddy. This deck's really good. I just get to go, like, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Animate Dead. It's disgusting. Oh, yeah, tap out for that Death Ray Shaman. Let's get one Grizzly Brand. No! Well, I tried. Oh yeah, I've probably lost this one, but I need to figure out what deck my opponent is. Like Bayou Deathwreck Shaman Surgical, that is not enough information to determine what deck my opponent is. Spellbomb 2? Yeah, my guess is that this is a Bug Delver deck. I agree with your assessment. I'm not 100% sure though. Like this could almost just as easily just be some random like bug mid-range deck. Yes, like without certainty, Stoneforge Mystic is a modern buyout. I don't think I'm gonna play this Faceless Looting yet. I think I'm gonna let a couple of turns go by. Okay. I'm getting closer to being able to like wiggle through. Like I can wear this spell bomb at some point, and then like maybe pitch 2 fatties with a Faithless Looting and Exhume. I will just get this off the table now. I'm fine with that. My opponent can nuke my irrelevant cards if they want. Grimwatch, that's rough. So if I'm looting here, I can pitch the Therapy and one other card I don't care about, and then try to flash back the looting on a following turn. But I think I just need to play this one patiently. I'm not on, like 2 damage a turn is not much of a clock. It is like legitimately possible. Alright, let's cast this and see what happens. That is not a good assortment of cards. So I guess I'll pitch the Dark Ritual in the Swamp. I'll play the Delta on the off chance that I actually do get to flashback this Faithless Looting next turn. I want to keep the Cabal Therapy Because I want to Cabal Therapy my opponent before I concede. Because, like, they're potentially actively trying to hide information about their hand. Okay, their pile. And I'm not going to beat Snapcaster Surgical, so I'll go ahead and concede here. Okay, so I don't want these. Like, they have that random spell bomb, but that doesn't really matter all that much. So what do I actually want? I probably want the Grim Lavamancers to deal with Deathrite Shaman. I can consider these Maguses just to, like, hose my opponent from a different direction. And I can also consider Needle. So I think these are the cards that I would consider. I probably want my Cabal Therapies to do a surgical check. I probably don't really want Unmask as much due to the card disadvantage. Six is probably bringing in too many cards. Maybe I don't Needle since that's bad against K command. Huh. So, this hand's awkward. But probably pretty good. So I think turn 1, I fetch a Swamp, Cabal Therapy my opponent for Deathrite Shaman, and then hope to draw a land turn 2 to dump a Magus into play on turn 2. I do think I need to get the Swamp. I don't think I can, like, get the Badlands and just, like, 100% hope demise. Ooh. Alright, opponent, you got it. Okay. So I think my opponent has Surgical Extraction that they're trying to protect. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So I'll just pass the turn. Yeah, like, the only way they keep that on, I think, is just Surgical. Either that or it's, like, the fear of Surgical, right? So because I'm planning on winning this game with Magus of the Moon, I'm going to go ahead and Entomb here. But it's not going to be for Grizzlebrand. Ooh, Force Pitch Leovold. I'm going to take some huge card disadvantage here. Yeah, but I wanted to hit one of these. This is an interesting moment. I'm going to pitch a... I can pitch a Magus and a land, fetch, animate dead Magus. If they do have the Surgical, it's a bit of a blowout, but if they do have the Surgical and they use it on Magus, that's not the end of the world. I can just, like, give them one more turn of mana, and then just, like, hard cast a Magus, hard cast a second Magus. That's probably just better. But they might not actually have the Surgical. If they had the Surgical, they probably would have let the Entomb resolve. So I don't think they have the Surgical. So I'm going to pitch Looting and a Magus, and then animate dead a Magus. So this isn't a real clock, but it's very disruptive right now in all likelihood. And the fact that I have a second Magus means that, like, the first getting bolted isn't just the end of the world. Alright, Moonman plan is a go. So this is why I really like E.W. Landon's sideboard. Like, the ability to just attack from these different angles in the post-sideboard games that dodge the, like, typical graveyard hate things is very good. Like, my opponent used 2 Force of Wills to kind of, like, stop the Reanimator side of the deck, and then just lost to a 2-2. That was really a 1-2. The follow-up 2-2 then closed the game. The trophy leader has a strong sideboard plan. You don't say. Alright. I'm on the draw. I get a Chancellor. What do I get to do? I get to unmask me, reanimate Chancellor on turn 1? Okay. I think my opponent's a D&T player, too. Ooh, nope. Very much no. Okay, so I want to unmask me. I guess probably pitching Animate Dead, Reanimate Chancellor. I think I'm going to buy a ton of time with Chancellor. Like, I'm going to get to counter my opponent's first spell, and I'm going to have them on a 4-turn clock. Like, there's just, like, so much pressure on my opponent from, like, both the mana angle and the clock that I think this is just fine. And, like, I can therapy for something relevant to get a better idea of, like, which Cloud Post deck they're on. Yeah, like, this exchange just favors me greatly. Okay, do I just entomb? Or do I need to therapy them for anything? I don't even really know what I'd therapy. Like, what matters? If they play a Cloud Post, they have 3. If they have 4 mana, they could, like, Thought Knot Seer. Yeah, I'm just gonna entomb at their end step, I think. So, like, my opponent could be Mud. They could be Eldrazi playing Cloud Post. They could, like, they're very likely just, like, the big Eldrazi deck, in my opinion. So, like, there's definitely Thought Knot Seers. There's probably, well, there's still probably Reality Smashers, but there doesn't necessarily have to be. There could be Endbringers. So these are probably the cards that I want. My opponent most certainly is going to have some annoying artifact-based stuff, and Magus of the Moon can slow them down a lot. Well, Eshnorn probably isn't the greatest. And I'll probably get rid of 1 discard spell. I think that was a mind game. Bring in Iona. I think I'll probably, like, go down 2 therapies, 2 unmasks, and 1 reanimation spell. What's my worst reanimation spell here? Probably Animate Dead. So Orem, you will occasionally see ones that play Smasher, but most of them play Thought Knot Seer just as like early disruption and then go really big. With Ugins, Karns, Ulamog, stuff of that nature. So it tends to win with like very expensive cards, and the Thought Knots are sort of a bridge to those rather than an explicit win condition. So this has Entomb and Reanimate in it. Great. We will be pretty soft to something like, a ley line. But otherwise, this is fine. A Chalice might suck. Alright, so let's unmask them and figure out what's going on. I'll pitch an Exhume. Actually, I'll pitch an Animate Dead. Okay, so they are mud. Top deck Chalice on one. Sorry, friend. Well, that's pretty much the perfect draw. Minus this Chalice of the Void, that is. So now I need a second mana source to cast any of these. And I'll be casting the Animate Dead rather than the Exhume due to Lodestone. Oh! Well, that's not good. Perfect timing, too. Am I soft to that? Probably. So I need to win with my Magus of the Moon. Oh, no, I don't think... So Strifo, I think if I can go for Grizzlebrand turn 2, that's way better than the Golem on 1, right? I'm pretty sure. Not 100%. So I wonder if my opponent has like some big stupid thing they want to tutor up for this matchup, or if this is just going to whack me. I don't know. I assume I'm just going to get like Blight Steeled, because that kills me in one go. Yeah. So if my opponent is playing Mud, not Big Eldrazi, do I want to change anything? Maybe I don't want the Magus when I'm on the play, and I just want to like try to go fast. So I like bring the Unmasks back in. Orm67, this is EW Landon's most recent paper deck list. I think it's about 2 weeks old at this point. I don't think I want Needle against the Chalice deck, right? Like, what am I needling that is good enough to be worth a card there? Like, I don't really want to needle a Forge Master, right? Like, if the game has made it that long, I've already probably lost. Name Metalworker and cry in hindsight. Sounds about right. I am game for this. It says eluding to put a Grizzlebrand in the yard, and it is super, super resilient to something like a Chalice of the Void. Or, yeah. Alright, so I'll discard Grizzlebrand, and I don't really need the Lotus Petal. Oh, Hapless Researcher. That's a fun Magic card. Let's not be stupid. It was almost stupid. It's pretty humorous. Oh man, banning announcement is tomorrow. That's exciting. Actually, this is actively good, right? Because I just like blow up that worm coil engine and then I animate dead it. Okay, so this Exhume is probably not going to be pretty good this game. What happens if I attack in with Worm Coil Engine? My opponent blocks with the Death Toucher. I gain 5 life, but then I get 2 idiots. And then I wear tear the Forge Master. My 2 idiots beat their board. But once that Forge Master is in the graveyard, my Exhume is basically a dead card. But I have to get rid of the Forge Master, or Forge Master gets Blightsteel, and then my life total does not matter. Which is unfortunate. Turns out Shatter, respectable magic card against Mud. Oh, my plan is to draw Faithless Looting and bin both of these cards. But I think I just lose the game if I don't kill the Forge Master. I think that's, like, just fact. So something big and scary might happen. I don't think I can beat something big and scary right now. Joke's on you, opponent. I didn't want to cast Exhume anyway. Oh, no. Well, I guess I can trade the lifelinker for the lifelinker. That's fine. Alright, so this is okay. So I can unmask, pitch Exhume, put Grizzlebrand into the yard, and then if I draw Reanimate, I can reanimate Grizzlebrand, which is better than what they've got going on over there. I guess I should probably do that now as well, in case something like a Lodestone comes down. Yeah, the Exhume was good. It was a black card. That's all I needed from it. So now I'm hoping to draw Reanimate. So Duplicant actually can't exile a token creature? I did not know that. So my opponent just played a 6-mana 2/4. Six mana, exile a token, too strong. Alright, scary Lodestone Golem is scary. I think this is my last turn to draw Reanimate, right? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, I can't actually draw Reanimate, so I'm just Stone Cold dead. Rats. Alright folks, I'm going to take 30 seconds and run to the restroom here, and then we'll go into the next round. Here's the deck list. Alright. Good morning, everyone. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes. This morning, I'm streaming with Red-Black Reanimator because I don't have too much time to stream, but I still want to give you some quality legacy content. I'm playing one of E.W. Landon's lists. I really like the man plan in the sideboard, so to speak. That's something I really enjoyed when playing Tin Fins in the past, because boarding into things like Dark Confidants and Monastery Mentors attack from a very different angle from the rest of your deck. And I just think this sort of angle of attack is what can make some decks like Tin Fins and Reanimator a little bit better than they objectively are.
Man, I hope Deathray Shaman gets the axe tomorrow. That would make me so happy.
I'd get to like test a sweet new format before the GP in August/September or whenever exactly that is. We'll see. I'm not hopeful.
Alright.
So what do I get to do? I can unmask, pitch unmask, targeting my opponent. I can then Cabal Therapy myself, named Grizzlebrand. Well, like one way or another, I'm keeping this hand. I have everything that I need. Okay, opponent has a Wasteland. That's the only card in their hand that matters. So I actually kind of want to take the Jace, because that can bounce a fatty if we make it that far, in case I whiff on a land to hit my Grizzlebrand. I think that's fine. Yeah, like, this is a lot of faith in Ponder. Like, I can just take the Ponder, and, like, then they just have turn 4 Jace as their first play. But I can't fetch Badlands for my looting. Actually, this might be a hand where I just, like, take both, right? Like, I can take the Ponder for now, and I can therapy the Jace later. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll take that Ponder for now. And to give myself the opportunity to spike the land, I will still therapy myself and put the Grizzlebrand in the yard. And we're good at Magic. Opponent can have Daze or Stifle as ways to interact with me currently. Alright, as far as top decks go, that's a good one. Alright, so my opponent is playing Jace and Wasteland. I guess they're probably a pile deck that plays Wasteland. So probably want something like this. Yeah, that's what I mean, like the bug pile deck. Like, there's still 4-color pile decks that run a Wasteland or two, which is beyond greedy, but that's kind of what that deck is, so... I think this is a... Hope my opponent doesn't have Deathrite Shaman on turn 1 hand, so I just draw my card, discard Grizzlebrand, try to reanimate it, and I can even go like Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy them, then try to reanimate it. So I think this is a keep, although I'll have to play this hand very differently if my opponent leads on Deathrite Shaman. Yeah, so since they have Deathrite Shaman, I can just go Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy me, name Grizzlebrand, try to reanimate it, and like we just see if that works. I don't really have another choice here. Yeah, I named Strix or Edict there. I named Edict because I thought it would be something that would make the hand more keepable. There's a Ponder and a Shuffle. That means good things for me. that's pretty good. So what do I want to get? I can just get Magus of the Moon and just, like, shut off literally all of their mana? That seems awesome. Or I can just get, like, Elesh Norn and kill 2 Deathrite Shamans. Magus is probably just the best. It's answerable with, like, some bolts and stuff, but it doesn't, like, hurt my life total all that much. So if I got Elesh Norn, I would just die, right? Like, I would lose that life and then get double dank drain with Deathrite Shaman and I'd die. If I was going to get the Elesh Norn, I would have done it prior to attacks as well, so I would have gained 2 more life. Oh, right, yeah, sorry. Elesh Norn would have killed the Deathrite Shamans. Duh. These are things you say when you're streaming because you're, like, thinking about half things at a time that you would, like, never say in real life or do in real life. So what does my hand do? Why do we have a Moonman on a Grizzlebrand? Because we can. So my opponent played Reanimator a couple days ago, so that might mean I'm playing the Mirror. My hand doesn't really go anywhere fast, but I do have a Looting and an Unmasked, and so I think I keep this, and this is a defensive hand rather than an offensive hand. And so I unmask my opponent. Nope, nope. Maybe not Reanimator. Well, I got a 5-0 with Reanimator like 7 days ago. Let's unmask you. Let's see what's going on. Hey, Eos, welcome. This would be a disgusting stifle. Yeah. actually probably want to play this looting, right? Yeah, I really don't want this looting to get dazed next turn if my opponent has a second daze. Alright, so I need to keep the therapy. I need to keep at least one reanimation spell. I need to keep this land. So Dark Writ can go. And I'm going to get rid of the... I'm going to get rid of the Reanimate. Because my opponent is going to be a Delver deck and try to pressure my life total. So the next question I'm going to need to ask is, like, what kind of Delver deck is my opponent? Are they just Grixis Delver with Stifles, or are they Rug Delver? It'll probably take a couple of turns to figure that out. Let the record show that if my opponent is a Grixis Delver deck that happens to play both Stifle and Cabal Therapy in the main deck somehow, I could get, like, super mega boned. I've not considered Unmask in my mono black control deck. I don't know what purpose it would serve that, like, a 1-mana spell wouldn't, you know? Oh, I totally played with Bitter Blossom in that deck. That's a good idea. Bitter Blossom Lash Riot is a combo, right? Right? Let's go with yes. Who needs a life, really? So if my opponent doesn't put a clock on me, this game going longer is just favoring me. Speak of Bitter Blossom. Okay, now things got a little bit scary. Yep. Now I'm pretty dead. Like, this lad gets wastelanded, then I need to draw 2 lands. If these Delvers flip, I'm just dead. So I take 7, then 8. Okay, so I guess not, like, technically dead, but pretty dead. sandbag that. I am actually dead to any one piece of counter magic, or am I dead to Lightning Bolt? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm not dead to Lightning Bolt, technically, but like Chancellor is the card that's in the graveyard, so I'm just overwhelmed by the board at this state anyway. Alright. So let's go like Moon Man and Lavamancers, I guess. Maybe this isn't like a tight spout matchup. Maybe I should just like Iona. It's just bigger, clocks harder. If I keep this hand, I just pass my first turn, draw, discard Elesh Norn, and then attempt my first spell on like turn 3. That seems too slow. Let's try to get something going here. Huh. So I don't have a land. If I draw a land, I go Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy for something, then Entomb, or I can just go like Dark Ritual, Entomb, Animate Dead. I don't have land, and that's a scary place to be versus Delver. If I whiff on like my first draw with a land, I'd probably die. I think Needle is like sort of for Caracas decks. I mean, I think I'm keeping this. It's like super risky. My opponent kept 7, which isn't good for me either. I don't know, I'm gonna just like lose to Daze or Force. Just to follow that up, Idru, it's like one of the cards that a bunch of your other hate cards don't interact well with. Right? I guess I should say like anti-hate cards. This is probably just too risky still. Like, I just get, like, I time walk myself. Yeah. This is the best hand by a lot. I top this Lotus Petal, I can attempt Magus on 2, and then attempt to reanimate Magus on 3. But I think I just want to, like, fetch a basic Swamp on turn 1, so I can't get stifled. So I think before my opponent knows my hand, I probably want to Entomb. So, like, for Deathrite Shaman, I'm bringing in Magus of the Moon and Grim Lavamancer, both of which fight Shaman in different ways. I think I'm going to put Elesh Norn in the bin. If my opponent has Surgical, I don't think I want to lose all 4 Grizzlebrands right here. And my opponent kept on 7. So I think that's somewhat likely. And now I can attack them from 2 different angles, the Magus of the Moon angle and the Reanimation angle. Okay, that's fine. Guess what? That's a reanimation target, too. So what do I want to name? I could name just a permission spell like Force of Will, or I could name Surgical Extraction. Like, 1 counterspell I can essentially beat with a pair of good top decks. 2 I can't. I probably can't beat a Surgical. Like, if I just do like a targeted piece of reanimation and they have Surgical, I just lose. Exhume would be pretty good, but like it'll be soft to the soft permission. My gut says I name Force. Daze, Stifle, Bolt. Okay. It's unfortunate. That means this Grim Lavamancer doesn't get the chump block that I wanted it to. is totally beatable. I don't know. I feel like my opponent should have just like bolted that and hit in for 5. Right, because that shuts off Reanimate as a card that matters, and they don't have me dead on the next turn, like, doing the line that they did. So I can cast Dark Ritual, and then cast Faithless Looting with 1 left over. If I cast this Dark Ritual, it's very possible it does get a Daze. So I'm going to cast that. We're going to see if I can get that Daze out of the hand. Okay, so I'm going to hit to 4. I guess I keep Reanimate, and I can Reanimate Magus. But the Lightning Bolt kind of throws that out. Yeah, so regardless, I think I do keep. Well, I'm talking about a turn down the line, but it's like it's dead for different reasons. So I can't cast this targeting one of my big fatties due to like the Lightning Bolt that's in their hand. So I'll just cast this, try to get a chump blocker, and this might bait out the Lightning Bolt or the Daze. So like getting the Magus is okay, but I lose 2 more life, and that might be relevant. So if my opponent Lightning Bolts me in response here, I am dead. Yep, okay. All right, so it goes. This league went kind of mediocre. I'm sure I didn't like sideboard or probably even play anywhere close to optimally. But I feel like I didn't have too many just like absolutely bonkers hands, uh, and that's all right. The deck's a lot of fun to play. It's not my jam, but I do think the deck is relatively good. I think there's too much Deathrite Shaman running around in the format to like want to play this, but EW Landon seems to know how to like navigate through all of that. I don't. I can just like figure it out on the fly, but I don't know like okay, against Deathrite Shaman in this deck, I need to, be attacking from this angle. I don't have all of that sort of stuff internalized, and it takes me a little while to figure out some of that stuff. All right, let's see. So it's 11 now. I have lunch at noon. Yeah, all right. I probably need to get going. So today is Sunday. So tomorrow's a Latin day. So my next stream is likely to be Tuesday morning at about 9 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know exactly what I'll play. It'll really depend on whether or not we get a banning tomorrow. Who knows? We can hope. I expect nothing, but fingers crossed. All right, so I'm Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. If you enjoy legacy content, please follow my channel. My stream schedule is a little sporadic while I'm at Latin Academy here. And if you really enjoy what I'm doing, consider doing a donation deck list or subscribing to my channel to support my efforts. I got a donation yesterday for 2 Blue-White Stoneblade streams. The person requested that I do those after Latin Academy, though, at more reasonable hours for their time zone. So, in about 2 weeks, I'll have a couple of Blue-White Stoneblade streams. So thank you all very much for watching this morning, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.